So I recently reviewed this, the Golf Pride Concept Helix grip. And while I thought it had a lot of potential, I thought the concept was interesting, I felt like it had some big shortcomings. And one of those was a lack of instructions. I was just sort of flailing around using the basic instructions that I had found on the Golf Pride website. Well, just today, Golf Pride actually sent me an email with much more detailed instructions. And I thought, you know what, since this was such a big part of the issue I had the first time, it seems like it's only fair that I need to go back and re-review these grips, reinstall them, and talk about the process using the actual more detailed instructions. So that's what we're going to do today. Hi everyone, welcome to the Mobile Club Maker. I'm AJ. Thanks for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. So yeah, we are going to jump right into this because I've got the grips, I've got the tool, I've got the club we're going to use, and now I've got these instructions, these much more detailed instructions that I think will really simplify the process. I'm excited to see with these new instructions, is this going to make a difference in my end review of these grips? Am I going to come away with a different opinion now, having gone through the process with these more detailed instructions? So first, I've just got to apologize for something because, you know, I went through that first video saying how bad the instructions were, how I couldn't really get heads or tails out of these instructions. They were so vague, they were so brief. And I was going through preparation for this video, and I got the box of grips back out and I opened it up and I kind of set it here. And what do I see as I actually sort of read a little more closely this time? Well, guess what? It actually has a URL to the more elaborate, more detailed instructions on the box. So those are the same instructions that I got in my email today. And as it turns out, I just completely overlooked it on the box. So that is on me. I apologize right now for that. That being said, I would really like to see that be a little more pronounced because the fact that I completely glossed over it, didn't even notice it when I was holding it up to the camera even, makes me think that most people will not pay attention to that, will not notice that that URL is there with the instructions. I think it needs to be a little more obvious that, hey, here's where you go for the instructions. So we're going to go through the process, just going step by step, using these instructions, and we're going to see how quickly I can get this grip on and see if this changes my initial stance on these grips. I think the first step we can actually skip because it says remove your old grip. And if you remember, and if you watch the original video, you will remember that I struggled mightily with one of the shafts that had a little bit of tape residue. So definitely, if you're going to put these grips on, you have to get all the tape off, you have to get all the residue off. You want them to be basically completely clean. This one has a little sticker, but that never was an issue the first time. I think it's mainly you don't want any sort of adhesive on it. I did this last time. This seemed pretty obvious to me. I didn't really need any extra instructions to tell me that. But so we put the grip onto the little installation tool up to these little notches on it like that. Next, position the horn and grip over the end of the shaft, sliding it on just slightly to help widen the mouth of the grip. Okay, it says now once we did this, basically says you put the grip you put the shaft down next to you, hold one hand on it like this and hold the other hand at the top and just kind of work it, slide it down until it sets all the way. At this point we can remove the little horn. Now this was not simple last time and I ended up having to sort of roll the grip up, which kind of seems like, yeah, came off slightly easier maybe. Okay, once the grip has been placed on the shaft, use the box in which the grips arrive to ensure the Concept Helix is the proper length and has not been stretched too far down. Place one end of the grip next to the H marked on the box. The grip should reach the X marked on the other side of the box. What? Okay, next it says you want to check the length of it and make sure that the grip basically is 10 1/4 inches from the butt end here to the tip of it. So I double checked that. I had to move it back a little bit because I had overstretched it. But now we are right on point at 10 1/4 inches. The next step says you want to tighten the end cap. And here again, these instructions being much more helpful because I didn't notice this when I did this last time, but on this actual little installation tool, it says on and off written with arrows telling you what direction to turn it. Again, this would have been extremely helpful had I noticed that the first go around, but oh well. So now we're going to do that. So we're going to put this on, and it says you turn it basically 30 times. So 2, 3, 29, 30. Okay, that feels pretty snug already. Okay, until you cannot twist the horn any further, about 30 turns. Oh, so I could go slightly more because I could still twist it a little bit. Okay, so that I've heard a little crack sound, so I'm not going to tighten it any more than that. That feels pretty darn snug. Now it already feels pretty snug up at the top, but obviously the bottom is still quite loose. Okay, so now it says that we start at the bottom and twist the grip clockwise, and that's clockwise going with the grip pointing up and the head down. So we start here and twist. Well, the bottom doesn't really want to twist very much, but okay, so that's something. We'll move up. The top definitely wants to twist. Go back to the bottom again. That part is not really overly twisty. It feels okay. I'll be honest, it doesn't really feel better than when I did this in the previous video. It honestly still feels like there's a little bit of play down here at the bottom, maybe. Honestly, it feels like there may be a little more play down here at the bottom than there did in the first video. I'm just not sure. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about this. I was honestly expecting this to work just like 100 times better when I did it this way with the instructions, knowing exactly how to do it. And even with the instructions, I'm still sort of left kind of scratching my head like, is this right? Is this really what it's supposed to feel like? I don't know. You can see once it's on the pattern on it, get that close to the camera, hopefully you can see that. The pattern kind of changes as you twist the grip around. So it has a little different design on it now that it's all installed as opposed to what it looks like when it's just sitting without it being on a shaft. Now it says until it clicks. It's a strange noise, but I don't think it's a click. Okay, there. Now it said until it clicks. And then once it clicks, it said you can put this little installation tool back on and slide it up under there and slide it off. Let's see. It's definitely, at least for me, in my case, it's definitely not simpler than the traditional way of getting some solvent and some grip tape and putting grips on that way. It is by far more complicated and convoluted than that, in my opinion. But again, you know, if this isn't necessarily designed for me, it's designed for someone who hasn't ever changed their grip. So if you had never changed a grip before in the traditional way, would this be better for you? Would this be easier? I don't know. I can't really say because I can't put myself in that position because I've been doing it the regular old-fashioned way for so long. But that's sort of that's sort of my take on it. You know, I went through this whole process. I was thinking after I go through it, one, the process is going to be simpler, it's going to be more streamlined, and two, when I get the end result, the grip is going to feel better this time. Honestly, the grip didn't really feel any better. It felt about the same as it did last time and still left me feeling a little bit concerned, like it wasn't completely on there. Let's go through the goods and the bads again now, this time having gone through this one more time. And I had kind of written out this list before I went through this last time, but I had initially said, well, the install is much easier, but you know what? In the end, I don't know that the install was that much easier, and I don't think it was easier than using a traditional tape and solvent method. It's definitely less equipment that is required. You don't need tape, you don't need solvent, you don't need a knife, you don't need a vise to hold it. You just need the grip and you need the little tool and you need the golf club. So that's nice, and it's also obviously very clean without the solvent. As I said in the previous video, when I was swinging it, I didn't notice it being different from a regular traditional grip, so that was good. The bad things, again, I feel like the process just isn't as simple as I would like it to be. Again, this is the third one of these I've done, and it still sort of left me feeling like a complete amateur here, not knowing what I'm doing. And, you know, I really felt like it should be simpler by now. I've done 3 of them now. It should be simpler, and it really wasn't. Secondly, the mechanism. The mechanism still gives me pause as far as, one, the durability of it. How will it last over time? How will it last even shorter time as far as keeping the grip locked on there in different weather conditions, all sorts of different things. Also slightly worried because when I put this grip on this time, I feel like I heard a slight crack sound. And I don't know if that was coming from the graphite shaft I was putting it on. If it was, well, that's obviously not ideal. This is a shaft I was planning on pulling anyway and swapping out, but if you had a $200, $300 shaft and you put one of these on and cracked it, well, that would obviously not be a good thing. So I'm going to go back afterward and sort of inspect the shaft, see if I can notice anything. But there was definitely a cracking sound, and I don't know if that was just sort of a variation of the clicking sound, or if that was something cracking inside the grip, or if that was something in the shaft. But definitely a concern and would have to be put on the bad side of my list. The other things, like we talked about in the other video, these grips are heavy. It's about 66 grams for this versus a standard grip, which is around 50 grams. So definitely something to be aware of if you're trying to keep your total weight down. These grips are heavier. You also can't do much in the way of customization with these. Obviously, they only have one right now, and maybe they'll come out with a mid-size or a jumbo. But as of right now, there's only standard size, and since you can't have tape underneath, you can't build it up with layers of tape, so it's either standard size or nothing. Also, as we talked about in the previous video, shaft compatibility. I'm not sure how this grip will work with different shaft diameters. The other thing that I thought of with this that would be on the negative side, on the bad side, is that because the way you install these grips is you're twisting the rubber, and that's how it's getting tighter, like when you twist a rubber band up. It's getting tighter and tighter and twisting it. That means you're really going to be limited in the number of patterns, the number of designs, the number of materials probably that you can use this sort of technology for. I'm not sure you could use a cord grip and be able to move it around so easily because it's going to be a stiffer feeling grip. Obviously, any sort of alignment like the Golf Pride Align or any sort of ribbed grip, that would go right out the window because you're twisting the whole thing around. You're not going to be able to get a nice line on there. Finally, with grips like these, because of all this mechanism up here at the butt end, you can't use any sort of data collecting device that would be attached into the grip end of your club, like Arcos or things like that. Okay, that's it for Golf Pride Concept Helix review part 2, the sequel, whatever you want to call it. I'm still left feeling a little underwhelmed overall, but you know what? This is, again, still just the first design, the first iteration of this grip. It's the prototype, so who knows what Golf Pride might do in the future with it. They may come back with something amazing. We'll just have to wait and see. If you enjoyed the video, please go down below, give it a thumbs up, and if you have not already, go down, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell icon so you can be alerted to new videos when I release them. I'm also now on Instagram, so you can find me at Mobile Club Maker. Check that out. That's it. We will see you next time. Take care.